Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble. When you worry, you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy now. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed. Don't worry. Be happy. The landlord say your rent is late. He may have to litigate. Don't worry. Be happy. Look at me, I'm happy. Don't worry. Be happy. I give you my phone number. When you worry, call me. I make you happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Ain't got no cash, ain't got no style, ain't got no gal to make you smile, but don't worry. Be happy. Cause when you worry, your face will frown, and that will bring everybody down. So don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy now. Don't worry. Be happy.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel. I'm an innovation strategist and a visual thinker and the founder of UpSideUp. I am also working as a trainer and a consultant. After more than 30 years working for multinational companies, I embraced UpSideUp's project since 2011. So why work with visuals and innovation? It's a question many people ask me sometimes. It's simply because it's a passion I have. It's something I've developed for myself from experience and from training in diverse schools and universities, namely in areas such as design thinking and visual thinking. I'm also a master trainer in MindMaps and Innovation, and also a neurolinguistic programmer. And I am also the head of the advisory board of Open Genius. They are the producers of AYOA. This webinar is part of a series that we are promoting along 2020. Its purpose is to create awareness amongst people concerning the products and the solutions, methodologies and tools that will help students and professionals achieving better levels of productivity. UpSideUp is focused on value creation through innovation and a great communication and use of visual tools with the purpose of helping people and companies improving their productivity and organization in general. The theme for today's webinar is Tools to Help Educators and Learners, AYOA. AYOA is our focus today. And it was because of MindMaps that I have met Mr. Bill Lowe, our guest today, that I will present in a minute. Just want to tell you that we have a raffle today. OpenGenius, the company that produces AYOA, decided to offer a 1-year subscription of AYOA Ultimate, the most expensive and the better version of AYOA till today. And to participate in this raffle, you need to attend from one end to the other. So you need to interact with us by writing some messages in the chat. And I will warn you, I will let you know when you need to do that through a message in the bottom of the screen. You will see it. So, okay, let's present Mr. Bill Lowe. I've asked him for a very short bios because the one he has is really, really long. So let me introduce him. Bill has worked in education and training for more than 25 years in every phase of education as a teacher and as a senior leader. He spent 12 years as a senior lecturer at Newman University, Birmingham, in UK. He wrote and delivered master's degree modules in leadership and creativity. He has trained hundreds of teachers and many head teachers. Currently, Bill is UK consultant for the Master Training Institute in Switzerland and head of quality assurance and assessment for OpenGenius, also in UK. Along with having a master in education, he is a trained mind map instructor and master trainer in innovation with OpenGenius. Hi, Bill. Good afternoon. Let me put you on screen. Here we are.
Here we are.
Can you tell us how do you use mind maps and how can AYOA help with that?
Yes, well, it's great to have the opportunity just to have a chat with people really about things that work for me. I hope people don't think this is going to be the ultimate guide to mind mapping and the ultimate guide to AYOA. It's just nice to chat with people and say, this works for me. And I'm a great believer in that. And there was one of the slight problems I had working in the higher education sector, working in universities where you've got to consistently find evidence for things that worked, obviously, because education is certainly becoming more evidence-based and evidence-driven now, quite rightly. But every now and again, I think we, as teachers, we come across something which works for us, and I think if it works for you, then stick with it. Yeah. So I started using mind maps. It must be 20 years ago. I went on a course because it just looked like something different to do, a different way of working, and I found it really worked for me. And then I took that back to the classroom, and then with the children I was working with, introduced them to mind maps. I'll tell you now, right from 4-year-olds through to 64, 70-year-olds I work with, mind mapping does work for a lot of people. There's the planning side of your work that you can use them for, and there's the memory and the learning side. And I would say that it was interesting. You know, I saw a guy called Jim Quick. I don't know whether anyone's come across Jim Quick, Kwik. He's set himself up, and he's as a learning guru. And for those of us that have been in education for 25, 30 years, it's fascinating to see a young guru coming along with something which you've been doing for ages. But what Jim actually said was quite right in one of his latest videos. He says that if you've got information and you've got emotion, if you put information and emotion together, then you get a better chance of that information going into your long-term memory. Now, I'm not suggesting here that memory is the same as learning, because clearly it's not. We know that. But it's a good stepping stone, I think. And when you think about a hand-drawn mind map, which is where I started off, actually, you can probably see a couple of wrong hand. You can see a few behind me here. That's a book I wrote. I planned it using mind maps, using a hand-drawn mind map to start off with. And with a hand-drawn mind map, you've got information, you've got color, you've got association, because everything is linked together, which are all really good memory techniques. And also, if you're working if you're working with a group of other people on a mind map, on a hand-drawn mind map, you can be having really high-level conversations about the content that you're writing down. On the emotional side of stuff, I can remember working with young children and grade 11, grade 12 people. Put them into small groups, give them a huge piece of paper, give them an A1 flip chart piece of paper, which they can take to the library, work in the library, work on the floor, work in the corridor, work somewhere else in the room, which is totally different to the normal learning setup. That helps that memory process, doesn't it? It helps the engagement. It's not just sitting down writing a list of things. It's working with your friends in a slightly different classroom environment, and even using big felt pens. I remember some of the 7 and 8 year olds I've worked with. Oh wow, we can use these massive pens, and it's just something which adds another layer to the delivery of your learning, which I think is really, really important. There was a big change in my philosophy of teaching, actually, and my techniques that was inspired by a young lad called Kyle, who was 8 years old at the time. He's probably in his 30s now, and I'd love to know what he's doing. I really would, because Kyle was really into mind mapping. As soon as I introduced it, he loved it. And I can remember him one day sitting there with this sheet of A3 paper in front of him, with his pens all neatly set out. But he was gazing out of the window, and he should have been planning a story. So I said to him, "Come on, Kyle, you should be getting on with some work. What are you doing?" And Kyle just turned his chair, looked me straight in the eye, and this 8-year-old said, "But Mr. Lowe, I am thinking." And that changed my approach. Building in thinking time, allowing that creativity that comes through using mind maps is a really, really powerful tool, and something which I've used. It's worked for me over the years. Yeah. One of the problems that you have with the hand-drawn mind map is this: you kind of run out of space, don't you? And this is why something like AYOA is really good, because the mind maps that you can have there, the way you can use mind maps on AYOA, really give you that unlimited space. You can still do things, in fact, even better probably on an AYOA mind map, or any sort of software that you can get ready for mind maps, because there's a lot out there, but AYOA works for me, and you could see why in a sec. And that's that ability to jump from one side of the mind map to the other. You're not writing things down in a list, and that flexibility you get with the software is really effective, and we'll show you that in a couple of seconds. Because this idea of being able to jump from one thought to another because of the triggers is just mirroring the way that your brain works. Because what I'm doing now, for example, is I'm sitting here thinking what I'm going to do next, obviously, which is show you some mind maps. But also in the back of my mind, I'm hoping that the guys that came along yesterday and started cutting some trees down outside the window are hoping they're not going to come back in another 15 minutes and carry on with that, because if they do, the sound quality could be quite interesting. So it's just that, it just mirrors the mind mapping. Isn't just a list. Yeah, it's a way of jumping around from one thing to another, so that really gets all of your thinking out. Can I just show you very quickly? Here's
Bill, sorry, just one question.
Yeah.
And it's on the screen. How can you use mind maps to work with 4-year-olds? They cannot read yet.
No, well, with the 4-year-olds, it's using pictures, it's using objects. Yeah, it's getting down on the floor, using strips of paper, using hoops to put things in. Instead of the boxes, use the branches, use hoops, bits of rope, that kind of thing. Yeah, and again, it's the dialogue that people are having. It's the dialogue that your younger children are having with their teachers and their teaching assistants. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just want to show you this. I hope this loads up okay. Here we go. We were talking about the problems of hand-drawn mind maps, and this is just from a Google search of mind map examples. And you just have this this example here of what I've found over the years. I mean, this is a very fine mind map. It's lovely, but lots of a significant number of people I've worked with, especially people who are more mature, we'll say adult learners, go, there's no way I can do that. I can't possibly do that in mind map because I can't draw like that. I'm not going to bother with it. And so some of the more elaborate mind maps, hand-drawn mind maps that I think we've seen over the years have actually been slightly off-putting for people. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at some mind maps now that we've got on AYOA. And I think one of the first things to note here is it's very colourful, isn't it? Yeah, it's a really colourful screen that you've got there. Now, this is a book review, as you can see, of a novel called Pictures of Hollis Woods by P.R. Giff. What I like about this is that you can actually see the big picture, can't you? So if you set one of your students the task of reviewing the book, they can put these things together. So we've got a branch with the characters, all different characters. And what about those characters, their characteristics and their features? So Hollis is young and artistic. She is insecure, loving, and hardworking. Yeah, and the same for all the other characters in the book here. So that's fairly straightforward. You can see that you've got the characters, locations, and the plot. Now, immediately, just on one page here, if a student sent you that, which you could send as a PDF, or as you can have you can be working alongside them with this, you can actually see the understanding that they have of that particular book.
Bill, can you please amplify a little bit so people can see some detail?
There we go. Yeah, okay. Keep telling me, Daniel. Keep instructing me. That's fine. Yeah, when I was putting this together just now, I had abandoned by mother over here, and I thought, yes. Now then, abandoned by mother. I need to add something else on to over here. That's what made her insecure. So you can see that just by jumping from one side to the other, there, you can really start to build that big picture. Now, what I've added in here, that's fine. I mean, that's a particularly well-established way of using mind maps. But what we can have here are questions for assessment. So if I was the teacher there, I could add a comment on to this person's work. And I might say, clarify plot, and be a little bit more specific about which sort of part of the plot to clarify. So I might add into that. Clarify the part of the plot about where she was injured on the mountain. That needs more detail. Yeah. So you're not writing on the page of some worksheets or in an exercise book. This is right in front of you. And something else which has just come into my mind now, going back to talking about when we were all sitting around, contributing to a mind map, sharing pens, leaning over the page, leaning over the sheet of paper. We can't do that now, can we? That's something that because of the virus, with social distancing, there's no way you can do the collaboration. So something like AYOA here with the collaboration, which we'll show you in a minute, I think is a real boon for where we are at the moment. That's for sure. Okay, I'll just come up to here now. Now I've got a list of recent mind maps here, and what Daniel and I would like to do now is just show you, which one should we do? Should we do the words ending?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably chose one of the most difficult things to do here, but because I gather that there's no words ending in ARD in Portuguese, but never mind. So what you can do is you can add people onto who can see this particular mind map. So it might be certain groups in a class. It might be the whole class. It might be pairs, whatever. Yeah. And what you can do there is you say, right, we'd like you to contribute now to adding on a word that ends in ARD. Yeah. So
Bill, just two requests. Can you enlarge it a little bit?
Yep.
Okay. Now center. Can you show that we are both collaborating on the map, on the pictures?
Yes. Okay, so Daniel, would you like to just add a word in for?
Okay, I will add this side. Okay, here it is. Not sure if it is already visible. Not yet. I have added a word on the left. Probably it will show in a minute.
Okay.
Can you show the pictures on the top right so people can see who is collaborating on the map?
Yep. So here's myself and Daniel there. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So hang on. If I put ooh, I can spell it right. Always also good when people are watching you typing. Right. So I put shard there. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
Would you like to try yours again?
Mine it's not visible. Don't know why yet. I know it takes some time, but
Oh, that's strange because when we went through it before, it worked perfectly, didn't it? Anyway, what I've done here, though, I've not just left it. It's not quite as maybe as straightforward as it seems, because what I've done here on the right-hand side, I've got ARD, standard, card, and shard. The normal sort of phonetical sounding. On this side, though, is different. Reward and ward. Yeah, so you can use your mind maps to be very specific in the differentiation of the work that you're doing. It hasn't got to be just a jumble of stuff. Yeah, it can be used for used in different ways, not just that the way that we've kind of got used to using it. Shall we find another one, Daniel? Well, if that's not going to load up,
I don't know why it's not.
that's okay. So if there we go, hard. There we are.
It showed now.
How long did that take? So now, if you're having a discussion with your group, you, as a teacher, you might say, well, hang on a minute. What have we got here? We've got forward, reward, and hard. Is hard in the right place? And hopefully you'll get someone who says, well, no, actually it's not. It should be around on the other side. So you can move it around and pop it over there. Yeah. So it's got a lot more structure than some critics of mind maps who say, oh, it's all a mess. It's all over the place. It doesn't have to be. Yeah. You can do work like that. Yeah. Just very quickly, moving on to the maths one. Again, hang on, I'll just make that a bit bigger.
I'm on it.
All right. So there's myself and Daniel. We won't go through the process on this one. I'll just explain it. So using the numbers 3, 4, and 5 with the functions add, multiply, and subtract, come up with 5 questions. So Daniel might make up that question and I put the answer in. Yeah. So here's my answer coming in there.
Shall I create another operation?
Well, here we go. So here's my answer coming. Can you see that? That's my answer appeared.
Yes, I added another one. Let's see if it takes time.
Hang on, Daniel, just a minute there, because if you look at the answer, is it right?
No, it's wrong.
It's not. So you, as the question setter, can actually say, no, that's wrong. Yeah. So we've got this dialogue going on, haven't we? We've got the dialogue going on between the learners, and one of the most influential and impactful ways of learning something is to be able to teach it, and that's something which we've known for a long time. So if you've got people working together who can correct each other's work, just think of the levels of the of learning that you can move up there. Yeah. Okay. There's another one I want you to have a look at because I'm mindful of time, and that is this. You can use mind maps for doing a cause and effect. And again, it doesn't have to be just a mass of things all over the place. You've got the event, the incident in the middle here. So the fire of London, 2nd of September, 1666. Yeah. And if you are a 7-year-old in an English primary school, you'll know this inside out. done it. We've done this for years. So on the left-hand side, you've got the causes of the Great Fire, and on the right-hand side, you've got the results. Yeah. Okay. So you might ask the people in your class to say, okay, the buildings were close together, so why would that be a cause of the fire? Yeah. Why would it being windy be a cause? And they can add on their own. They can add on their own branches. Yeah. Something which we should have mentioned before is that if you just pop up to here, up on the right-hand side, the drop down there, you can actually show who the creators are. Yeah. So if I put show creator, that's who put those branches and those comments in. And if Daniel comes up with a comment, his picture or his name will come up as well. Yeah. But this is a really effective way of using a mind map. Again, it's one for those people that don't use mind maps or avoid them because they think they're too fluid, not structured enough. Okay, just want to taught history for a while now, and one of the things when you say to a group of trainee teachers, why do we teach history? One of the reasons is they'll say because we learn from our mistakes. Well, the fire of London was caused by the buildings being too close together and being built with inappropriate materials. And so they brought in new building rules over the years, and yet just a couple of years ago in London, there was a big fire in a block of flats which caused countless deaths. And the reason for that was poor building materials, inappropriate building materials, big blocks of flats, and building companies that we imagine or we hear didn't actually stick to the building regulations. So do we learn from our mistakes? You could use, I'll tell you what, if you with children of 7 and 8 who've done that in year 1 at schools in the UK or in England anyway, you could bring that back to them as year 7s in their first year of secondary school and go, I'll tell you what you did when you were 6 and 7 years old? Let's revisit it with a current topical issue. Yeah. Okay.
So can you go back to the maths one? So maybe you can show that the creators are different.
Yeah. Okay. Good idea. Yeah.
It's time for people to ask questions or comment if they want to be part of the raffle. So,
yeah. Okay. Just can I just very
there is some new things from my side, I believe.
Okay. Is it just have I got time to just show one more?
Go a little bit to the right. Yeah, there is one from me. The third one is mine.
Oh yes, absolutely right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so there we go, everyone. You can just see now how the different creators are coming on. For those of you, it's
just taking some time because we are doing the streaming at the same time, and I suppose the net is more busy than usual.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So I'm getting on my enthusiasm is building every second, and I do get a bit carried away. I just want to finish really with one of my more recent pet interests, and that's skill leadership. Having been a school principal for a while, when I used mind mapping for planning the middle leadership book that I've recently written. But here we can have AYOA being used very, very effectively for departmental planning, as you can see. So for each grade, for each year, I know there's vertical grouping in Portugal, so that's going to be a challenge when it comes to planning things. Here's your, say this is the chemistry department. You could have grade 5, the chemistry you're doing in term 1, the plans for term 2, and so on. Yeah, over here, aims, objectives. So this is where you might have your policies and whatever. You can add in comments by clicking on the box. You can add a comment in. So this is my message to the rest of the staff. Add any comments you like. Can we set a date to review our progress against these? So it's all in one place, isn't it? Everything here is all in one place. It's not lots of different files all over hidden different places. It's all here. And with that, the things that you can actually add to the mind map I've just gone back to the Fire of London one. I don't know whether you've picked that up yet. On the Fire of London one, under comments, what I've done here is I've added some resources in so that when the children, when your students are looking at that, they go, all right, try the Fire of London game. And there's this really ugly URL here, which sorry, that's very clumsy, but some maps you can upload of the Fire of London before the fire and after. Yeah. So the possibilities of AYOA are phenomenal.
Can you please add a picture to the center of the image, so to the center of the map?
Yeah.
Just for people to see.
That might take. I'm just conscious of the time, Daniel. That might. Yeah, but we can add. You can add pictures.
Anything.
Okay. Right. So, if you've got bigger documents, you can put in things like attachments of different documents that you want, that kind of thing. Yep. So what's the quickest way then, Daniel? You're the big expert on AYOA. Which is
on the brush.
On the brush. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Now you can just add picture. Yeah. There.
Yeah.
And you can upload. You can search.
I'll just upload something. Okay.
But if you search, there is a free set of pictures that we can use.
Oh right. Oh yeah, there is, isn't there? Where's?
You go search, add, and then search. You can add, press add.
Add.
Yeah.
Add. Yeah.
Search and write something like fire.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Fire is a good one.
Search and it should be.
There we go. Oh, look at that. There we go.
It's really
so
good.
So we just click on that.
Yeah.
Yep. And in it goes.
Well, okay.
Oh, that is great, isn't it?
That's great. Okay.
That is great. Yeah, thanks for that. That's really good.
It's more memorable.
I didn't think we'd have time for that. That's really good. But you can just see there that you could add all sorts of photographs to do with firefighting equipment, new buildings, that kind of thing, and that just brings it to life, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. There we go. So I think we've covered a range of things there, Daniel, from the straightforward use of a mind map for memory, for learning, or just scratching the surface there, but also how it can be used for leadership and communication and collaboration.
Do you also use the mind maps with the teachers in your usual role in the university?
I used it more when I was leading a school. One of the things to do is to get people on board with it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you will find, of course, is that people have got such massive systems in place already in places like universities. Yeah. That they do find it quite difficult to adapt to something new. But there's no reason why people can't use it individually. I mean, this would be a fantastic tool for planning. Mm-hmm. For planning your work, because for each particular part of the degree curriculum, you can have all your worksheets in there, you can have all your PowerPoints, you can have all your links to all the different resources, all in one place. Okay,
we have here a question from Teresa. She's asking, do the students need to register? Do you want to explain how people can use this for free? Or shall I?
Can you do that? Yeah, that's your field of expertise.
Okay. So I'll explain. Okay, so may I remove the picture just for a second? Okay.
Yeah, I'll come back in.
So this is a paid application. It works on the web, on the desktop, on an iPhone, on an Android phone, and so on. But anyone can go to the website. If you want, you can ask me for a code, and you download it for free. And when we are on a session with many people, they don't have the application, we simply give them the code so they can download or access on the web, and they can use it for free until 5 mind maps. Okay, so they can work on 5 mind maps at once. If they need to use a new one, they need to erase an older one. So, but they can interact with us without paying. They won't have all the functionalities that we have. They cannot present, for instance. They cannot do a conference call, but they can interact with us in the chat. They can interact with us in the task manager, and they can interact with us in the mind maps. They can print They can add branches, they can remove branches, so they can do most of the things, but limit it to 5. I think that's it. Hope this has answered your question, Teresa. Okay, let's go, Bill. Anything you want to add?
No, I think that's I think that's fine. I think I've probably overstepped my 22 minutes that I was allowed.
Okay, great. So we are on time. So I think many of the participants did not see that they need to comment during the session. So if you want to participate on the raffle, and this is a rule for this one and for the next webinars too, you need to write down something like hello at the beginning. You need to write a comment or a question along the webinar, and you need to say goodbye in the end, because we are going to collect the names, and the raffle will be only for those that have at least 3 comments along the session. So that's it for now. Okay, if you need any additional information concerning AYOA or MindMaps, you can contact us at info@upsideup.pt. Bill is mostly working in the UK. Probably we will arrange something, not for this year because of pandemic, but maybe next year. We're planning to organize something like a congress around these subjects, especially for education. And Bill will probably come to Portugal. Let's hope so, if the pandemic is gone next year, and we can travel freely and organize things with many people, because it makes no sense to be organizing with 20 people present and the others online, or doing, well, a mixed or an hybrid event this year concerning this subject. But when we go to education sector, we usually have a lot of attendees. So we need to organize something in present next year. Okay, so I would like to thank you very much, Bill, for participating.
Well, thank you.
The recording of the session will be available on YouTube. I need to ask people, sorry, but it didn't go on the air on LinkedIn, just on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know why, but there is an error. It's the second time the error happened, so I don't know why. But okay, let's count on YouTube and Facebook. And on YouTube this afternoon at 7:30, and along 1.5 hours, the recording will be available. So you have been watching. If you came late and you want to see it from the start, you can watch later on YouTube. For any question, contact us. Next week we will have a new one. It's a webinar in Portuguese. It's about leadership on the 29th, not on Wednesday, but on Thursday. Our guest will be Antonio Paulo Teixeira. He's an expert in human resources and leadership and law. He's really, really experienced, so it's going to be a great session too. And on following week, for those who only speak English, we will have another guest from UK, Miss Sharon Curry, and she's going to talk about executive coaching with AYOA. Yes, the tool is also good for that. So thank you very much to you all for the participation. Thank you very much, Bill. Keep good work with the students and teachers, and see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.